Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, looking out at the vast horizon ahead. You can see the possibility of something greater, something better. Yet fear, doubt, or old beliefs keep you frozen in place. What if I told you that the difference between staying stuck and soaring to new heights isn't your circumstances, your resources, or your intelligence, but your mindset? Today, I want to share with you how changing your mindset can change your life. Not in some abstract philosophical way, but in a real, tangible way that can shift the course of your future. There are 5 key shifts in mindset that, if embraced, can transform not only how you think, but how you live. There is something remarkable about the human mind. It is not just a tool for thinking, but a force that determines how we perceive the world, how we react to challenges, and ultimately, how far we go in life. The difference between those who stagnate and those who achieve extraordinary success is not talent, intelligence, or even opportunity. It is mindset. We have been led to believe that our abilities are set in stone, that we are either good at something or we're not, that we either have talent or we don't. But what if that belief is the very thing holding us back? What if success has nothing to do with inherent ability and everything to do with how we approach failure, challenge, and growth? Dr. Carol Dweck's research on fixed and growth mindsets reveals a fundamental truth. The way we think about our potential dictates what we become. Think about a child learning to walk. When they take their first wobbly steps and fall, do they sit on the floor defeated, saying, I guess I'm just not meant to be a walker? Of course not. They get up, try again, fall again, and keep pushing forward, unaware that failure is even an option. And eventually they walk, they run, they leap. But somewhere along the way, we learn to fear failure. We start believing that setbacks define us, that mistakes mean we are not good enough, that rejection is proof we are incapable. We adopt a fixed mindset, boxing ourselves into the limitations we have convinced ourselves are real. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time, was cut from his high school team. He could have seen that as a sign that he wasn't talented enough. He could have given up, but he didn't. He used that moment not as a reason to stop, but as fuel to grow. He worked harder. He trained longer. He pushed himself beyond the limits that others had placed on him. And in doing so, he didn't just become a better player. He became legendary. The question isn't whether we can achieve greatness. The question is whether we are willing to see failure not as a verdict on our worth, but as a stepping stone toward our goals. When we believe that our abilities can be developed, we stop seeing effort as a burden and start seeing it as the price of admission to success. Challenges become exciting rather than daunting. Obstacles transform into opportunities. Think about the people you admire, the entrepreneurs, the artists, the athletes, the leaders. None of them got to where they are because it was easy. They got there because they faced challenges head on. They understood that growth is uncomfortable, that progress is messy, that success is built on a foundation of failures. The world doesn't reward those who never fall. It rewards those who rise every time they do. But it's not just about success. A growth mindset changes the way we experience life. It shifts our perspective from one of fear to one of possibility. When we believe that we can grow, we stop avoiding challenges. We stop shying away from things that seem difficult. We stop saying, I can't, and start asking, how can I? There is power in reframing the way we see struggle. The most transformative experiences in life are rarely the easy ones. Growth happens in the discomfort, in the setbacks, in the moments when we are stretched beyond what we thought possible. The moment we embrace this truth, we step into a world where our potential is limitless. Imagine walking into a dark cave with only a small lantern. Your vision is limited. You can see just a few steps ahead, and beyond that, nothing but darkness. Fear tells you to turn back, but growth mindset tells you something else. Keep moving. Because as you take each step, the lantern moves with you, revealing more of the path. And the more you walk, the clearer the journey becomes. This is how growth works. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to take the next step. Some of the greatest innovations in history came from people who refused to accept limitations. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before he created a working light bulb. When asked about his failures, he simply said he didn't fail. He found 1,000 ways. That is the mindset of possibility. That is the mindset that changes the world. What would happen if we all embraced that mindset? What if, instead of avoiding failure, we pursued it as proof that we are learning? What if, instead of backing down from challenges, we leaned into them with curiosity and determination? What if we stopped defining ourselves by our limitations and started defining ourselves by our ability to grow beyond them. There is no finish line to growth, no point at which we arrive and say, this is it, I have reached my potential. Growth is a lifelong process, a choice we make every single day. And the beauty of it is that it's available to all of us. The only thing standing between where we are and where we want to be is the belief that we can get there. The greatest gift we can give ourselves is permission to be a work in progress, to celebrate our failures as proof that we are trying, to recognize that the struggle is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of growth. The next time you face a challenge, ask yourself, is this the end of the road, or is this the beginning of something greater? The answer is up to you. Too many of us are trapped in a mindset that convinces us there isn't enough to go around, not enough success, not enough wealth, not enough happiness. We are conditioned to believe that life is a zero-sum game, where for one person to win, another must lose. We compare ourselves to those around us, measuring our worth against others' achievements, their bank accounts, their opportunities, their relationships. And every time we do, we build the walls of limitation a little higher. But there is another way to see the world, a way that changes everything. Imagine a young girl born into extreme poverty, raised in an environment where the future seemed already written, where the idea of greatness belonged to others. It would have been easy for her to accept that success was not meant for her, to believe that only those born into privilege would rise. But she didn't. She chose to see the world not as a place of scarcity, but of boundless opportunity. She saw doors where others saw walls. She saw possibility where others saw dead ends. That choice, one single choice, changed the trajectory of her entire life. And because of that choice, she went on to touch millions. Most of us don't realize that we are making this choice every single day. Every time we let fear dictate our decisions, we are choosing scarcity. Every time we doubt that there is enough opportunity, enough love, enough success, we are reinforcing the belief that someone else's win is our loss. But when we shift our mindset, when we begin to see the world through the lens of abundance, everything changes. We stop competing and start creating. We stop fearing and start embracing. We stop looking at what we don't have and start focusing on what we can build. A scarcity mindset makes us cling. We cling to our jobs even when we're unfulfilled because we fear there won't be another opportunity. We hold on to toxic relationships believing this is as good as it gets. We hesitate to take risks, convinced that failure means the end. Scarcity makes us small. It makes us scared. It keeps us stuck. But an abundance mindset, that's where freedom begins. When we believe in abundance, we take leaps. We walk away from what doesn't serve us because we trust that something better is ahead. We share ideas, we collaborate, we lift each other up because someone else's success doesn't threaten ours, it expands it. Think about the greatest innovators in history, the people who changed industries, transformed communities, revolutionized the way we live. None of them operated from scarcity. They weren't focused on hoarding what they had or keeping others from getting ahead. They created because they believed in more solutions, more ideas, more possibilities. The people who leave a mark on the world are the ones who embrace abundance. And here's the most incredible part. Abundance is not about what you have. It's not about how much money is in your bank account or how many resources you have access to. It's a mindset. It's the belief that whatever you need, whatever you seek, there is enough of it. Enough opportunities, enough time, enough success, enough love. There's a reason some of the wealthiest people in the world live in constant fear of losing what they have, while some of the happiest people have almost nothing. Scarcity is not about lack, it's about perception. And perception is something we have the power to change. So how do we shift? How do we break free from the trap of scarcity and start embracing abundance? We start by changing our questions. Instead of asking, what if I fail? We ask, what if I grow? Instead of thinking there's not enough for me, we ask, how can I create more for myself and others? Instead of wondering, why do they have what I don't? We reframe it as, what can I learn from their success? We change our language. We stop saying, I can't afford it, and start asking, how can I make it happen? We stop saying, I don't have enough time, and start prioritizing what truly matters. Words shape reality, and when we speak in abundance, we begin to live in abundance. And most importantly, we act, because a mindset alone isn't enough. We take steps even when they're scary. We invest in ourselves. We seek out people who inspire us and lift us higher. We give without fear, trusting that generosity creates more, not less. We step out of our comfort zones. knowing that growth lives in the space between fear and courage. This is not about wishful thinking. It's not about ignoring real challenges or pretending that everything is easy. It's about deciding that no matter the circumstances, you will choose to believe in more, that you will move through the world not as someone scrambling for scraps, but as someone who knows that opportunity is infinite. Because when we see the world as abundant, it becomes exactly that. And when we live with that belief, we don't just change our own lives, we change the lives of everyone around us. There's a moment in life when we must ask ourselves, am I a victim of my circumstances or am I the creator of my future? This is not just a philosophical question. It is the defining choice that determines the trajectory of our life. The way we answer it shapes our actions, our relationships, and ultimately our impact on the world. And the truth is, most of us have been conditioned to see ourselves as victims far more often than we realize. From the moment we are born, we are shaped by forces beyond our control. The family we are born into, the schools we attend, the environment we grow up in, all of these factors influence our beliefs about what is possible. Some of us are born into privilege, others into hardship. Some of us are taught that the world is a place of opportunity, others that it is a battlefield where only the strongest survive. And so we begin to form stories about what we can and cannot do, about who is responsible for our success and who is to blame for our failures. But here's the thing about stories, they are just narratives we tell ourselves. And like any story, they can be rewritten. Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for 27 years. Think about that for a moment. 27 years. That's nearly 3 decades of being confined, stripped of freedom, forced to endure indignity after indignity. He had every reason to be bitter, to seek revenge, to believe that his life had been stolen from him. But he made a different choice. He chose responsibility, not for what happened to him, but for how he would respond to it. And that choice changed not only his life, but the future of an entire nation. Responsibility is not about blame. It is not about saying that everything that happens to us is our fault. That's not the point. Responsibility is about recognizing that while we may not control the events of our lives, we always control how we respond to them. It is the difference between saying, I can't do anything about this, and asking, what can I do with this? The moment we embrace responsibility, we reclaim our power. We shift from being victims of circumstance to creators of our own destiny. And when we do that, everything changes. Think about a time when you felt powerless. Maybe it was a setback in your career, a betrayal by someone you trusted, a situation that seemed completely unfair. It is in these moments that we are tested. It is in these moments that we are given a choice. Do we allow ourselves to be defined by what happened to us? Or do we define ourselves by what we do next? There is a reason why the most inspiring stories are not the ones where everything goes right. They are the ones where someone faced unimaginable odds and still chose to rise. They are the ones where a person refused to let their circumstances dictate their future. They are the stories of resilience, courage, and unwavering belief that the future is not something that happens to us. It is something we create. The mindset of a creator is not about wishful thinking or blind optimism. It is about taking ownership of our thoughts, our actions, and our attitudes. It is about recognizing that the most powerful tool we have is not our talent, our resources, or even our intelligence. It is our ability to choose. Every day we make choices that either reinforce a victim mindset or strengthen a creator mindset. We choose how we interpret failure. Do we see it as proof that we are not good enough or as feedback that helps us grow? We choose how we react to criticism. Do we take it personally and retreat, or do we see it as an opportunity to improve? We choose how we engage with the world. Do we focus on what's wrong, or do we look for ways to make things better? The shift from victim to creator does not happen overnight. It is a practice, a discipline, a commitment we make to ourselves every single day. It requires us to challenge the stories we have been telling ourselves and to write new ones that empower us rather than limit us. And it starts with a single question: what can I do with this? Because here's the truth. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of adversity holds within it an opportunity. The opportunity to learn, the opportunity to grow, the opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. But we can only access that opportunity if we choose to take responsibility for our lives. So what if we stopped waiting for permission? What if we stopped waiting for the right conditions, the perfect timing, the guarantee of success? What if we decided right now to step into the role of creator? What if we embraced the idea that we are not defined by what happens to us, but by what we choose to do about it? There is extraordinary power in that choice, and it is a choice that is available to us in every moment. The only question is, will we take it? Fear is one of the most powerful forces in the human experience. It is deeply ingrained in our survival instincts, designed to protect us from harm, from failure, from embarrassment. But here's the paradox. While fear keeps us safe, it also keeps us stuck. It whispers in our ear, warning us about all the things that could go wrong, convincing us that stepping forward is too risky, that trying something new might lead to failure. And so we hesitate, we hold back, we convince ourselves that the right time will come later, that we need more preparation, more certainty, more validation. But the truth is, courage doesn't come from the absence of fear. Courage is not waiting until fear disappears. Courage is acting in spite of fear. J.K. Rowling was a single mother struggling to make ends meet when she wrote Harry Potter. She believed in the story that lived inside her. But when she sent her manuscript to publishers, rejection after rejection rolled in. 12 times, 12 doors slammed in her face. 12 moments when she could have told herself, maybe they're right, maybe I'm not good enough. But she didn't. She persisted. She kept going, not because she wasn't afraid, but because her belief in her dream was stronger than her fear of failure. And that made all the difference. Today, her books have sold over 500 million copies worldwide, not because she was fearless, but because she was courageous. Every one of us has our own version of that moment, the moment when doubt creeps in, the moment when the voices around us tell us to play it safe, the moment when we have every excuse to turn back, to stop, to settle. But the people who change the world, the ones we admire, the ones who inspire us, are not the ones who never felt fear. They are the ones who felt it and acted anyway. Think about a time when you hesitated, when you were at the edge of something great, but fear pulled you back. Maybe it was speaking up in a meeting. Maybe it was taking a chance on a new career. Maybe it was telling someone you loved them. We all have those moments, and too often we let them slip away. Why? Because fear is persuasive. It convinces us that we need more time, that we need more certainty, that we need someone to tell us it's going to work out. But here's the reality. Certainty never comes before action. It comes because of action. Courage is making a decision without knowing how it will end. Courage is taking the step before you see the whole staircase. And that's what makes it powerful. There's a reason we admire courageous people. It's not because they are superhuman. It's because they are just like us. They feel the same fear, the same doubt, the same uncertainty, but they refuse to let those emotions dictate their choices. They don't wait for fear to fade. They walk through it. They don't wait for permission. They give themselves permission. They don't let obstacles become excuses. They find a way forward. What if we all started thinking that way? What if instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, we saw it as a green light? What if we recognized fear not as a signal to retreat, but as a signal that we're moving in the right direction? Because here's the thing, the bigger the goal, the scarier it will feel. The more meaningful the work, the more resistance we will face. That's not a sign to turn back. That's a sign to push forward. The most successful people in the world are not the ones who never failed. They are the ones who failed and kept going. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Walt Disney was fired because he lacked imagination. Steven Spielberg was rejected from film school multiple times. Each of them had every reason to quit, every reason to believe the world was telling them they weren't good enough. But they didn't quit. They didn't accept fear as the final answer. They use it as fuel to move forward. And because they did, they changed the world. Imagine for a moment that fear wasn't in control of your decisions. Imagine that instead of asking, what if I fail, you started asking, what if I succeed? Imagine that instead of thinking about what could go wrong, you focused on what could go right. How different would your life be? How many more chances would you take? How many more dreams would you chase? Because the truth is, the only difference between those who achieve greatness and those who don't isn't talent, isn't luck, isn't resources. It's the willingness to act in the face of fear. And this isn't just about personal success. This mindset has the power to change organizations, communities, even the world. Think about every great movement in history, every breakthrough, every innovation. None of them happened because people were fearless. They happened because people were courageous. They happened because people saw the risk, felt the fear, and acted anyway. Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't fearless. He was courageous. Nelson Mandela wasn't fearless. He was courageous. Malala Yousafzai wasn't fearless. She was courageous. They all felt fear. but they didn't let fear make their decisions for them. So here's the challenge. The next time you feel afraid, the next time doubt creeps in, the next time you want to play it safe, ask yourself, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And then do that. Because that is where your greatness lives. That is where your potential is unlocked. That is where you become the person you were meant to be, not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of it. And when you choose courage over fear, not only do you change your own life, you inspire everyone around you to do the same. Gratitude is more than just a feeling. It's a perspective, a way of seeing the world that transforms the ordinary into something extraordinary. It's the difference between feeling burdened and feeling blessed. It's the shift that takes us from seeing life as an obligation to seeing it as an opportunity. When we move from I have to I get to, we unlock a completely different way of experiencing the world. Think about a time when you felt overwhelmed by responsibility. Maybe it was the endless to-do list at work, the chores piling up at home, or the commitments that seem to stretch beyond your capacity. We've all been there. The weight of it all can feel like a burden, something that drags us down and makes every step feel heavy. But what if we could change that feeling? Not by changing the circumstances, but by changing the way we see them. Consider Nick Vujicic, a man born without arms or legs. If anyone had reason to say, I have to, it was him. He could have looked at his life and seen only limitation. He could have asked, why me, and fallen into despair. But he chose a different path. Instead of focusing on what he lacked, he focused on what he had. An incredible mind, a powerful voice, and an ability to inspire. He didn't have to live his life as a symbol of resilience. He got to. He got to travel the world, sharing his story, touching lives, and proving that fulfillment isn't about what we're given, but how we use it. That's the power of gratitude. It changes our relationship with reality. It doesn't ignore challenges. It reframes them. It turns obstacles into opportunities and transforms the mundane into something meaningful. The things we once complained about, we start to see as privileges. The responsibilities that weighed us down become reminders of the incredible lives we get to live. Think about your own life. Think about the things you tell yourself you have to do. I have to wake up early for work. I have to take care of my kids. I have to go to the gym. But what if we change just one word? I get to wake up early for work. Means you have a job, a purpose, a chance to contribute. I get to take care of my kids means you have people who love and need you. I get to go to the gym means you have a body that moves, a body that allows you to grow strong. There are people in the world who would give anything for the things we take for granted. Someone who has lost their job would love to wake up early for work. Someone who has lost a loved one would give anything for one more responsibility tied to that person. Someone who is bedridden would cherish the ability to exercise. We often don't realize the true value of something until it's gone. But gratitude allows us to appreciate it now, in the moment, before it slips away. It teaches us to see the beauty in what we already have. It doesn't require us to change our lives. It asks us to change our lens. And when we do, we begin to see that everything we once thought was an obligation is actually a gift. The most powerful leaders, the ones who inspire, the ones who truly change the world, don't approach life from a place of entitlement. They don't see their roles as something they have to do. They see them as something they get to do. Great leaders wake up every day with a sense of purpose because they understand that their position, their influence, is not a burden, but an opportunity. They don't complain about the weight of responsibility. They embrace it because they know it means they are trusted, they are needed, and they are capable of making a difference. And it's not just leaders, it's all of us. The most fulfilled people in the world are not necessarily the wealthiest or the most famous. They are the ones who see their lives through the lens of gratitude. They are the ones who recognize that every moment, every challenge, every opportunity is something to be thankful for. Think about the times you've been happiest in your life. Was it when you were focused on what you lacked? Or was it when you were fully immersed in what you had? Happiness isn't found in acquiring more. It's found in appreciating what's already here. Imagine waking up tomorrow and instead of feeling dread, you felt excitement. Instead of saying, I have to go to work, you said, I get to go to work. Instead of saying, I have to meet deadlines, you said, I get to create something meaningful. Instead of saying, I have to take care of my responsibilities, you said, I get to show up for the people who count on me. Imagine how different your day would feel. Imagine how different your life would feel. Gratitude is not just a mindset. It's a practice. It's something we cultivate. It's something we choose again and again until it becomes a habit, until it becomes who we are. And when we live from that place, when we truly embrace the idea that we don't have to, we get to, we unlock a kind of fulfillment that cannot be taken away. We become unstoppable because our drive no longer comes from pressure. It comes from passion. It comes from purpose. And that's the kind of mindset that doesn't just change our own lives, it changes the lives of everyone around us. It's contagious. When you approach life with gratitude, people feel it. They see it in the way you carry yourself, in the way you treat others, in the way you rise to challenges with a sense of purpose instead of resistance. And when they see it, they start to feel it too. The world is filled with people who are waiting for something to change. They're waiting for the promotion, the recognition, the opportunity that will finally make them happy. But the truth is, happiness isn't waiting at the end of some achievement. It's here right now in the things we already have and the things we already get to do. The question is, will we see it? Will we embrace it? Will we make the shift from I have to I get to, and in doing so, transform not just our own lives, but the world around us? Because the moment we do, everything changes. We stop feeling like victims of circumstance and start feeling like creators of our own lives. We stop seeing challenges as things that hold us back and start seeing them as opportunities that push us forward. We stop waiting for happiness and start living it. So let's make the shift. Let's choose gratitude. Let's wake up each day, not with a sense of obligation, but with a sense of privilege. Because the truth is, we don't have to do any of this. We get to. And that makes all the difference. The way you think determines the way you live. A fixed mindset keeps you stuck, while a growth mindset propels you forward. A scarcity mindset keeps you envious, while an abundance mindset makes you creative. A victim mindset keeps you powerless, while a creator mindset puts you in control. Fear holds you back, but courage moves you forward. And gratitude changes everything. So I ask you today, what mindset shift will you embrace? Because the moment you change your mindset, you change your life. And when you change your life, you might just change the world. Thank you.